Hello friends, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon, my series in which I use tarot spreads to help me explore topics related to living the intentional life. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm pleased to meet you. Thank you for coming. If you have been here before, thank you for returning. I truly appreciate it. Well friends, the tarot spread has been laid, so let's dive right in. So friends, you can see that I'm using 4 new decks this time. One is called the Green Wheel Oracle, which is the main first card, and the 3 other decks are inquiry cards, which have the questions for each section of the spread, and 2 very popular decks. One is the Brady Tarot, a beautiful deck, and one is the Oak, Ash, and Thorn, which I think is going into second printing. If you want information about any of those decks, I will have the names of the decks and the names of the creators at the end of the video and links below. So, friends, let's look at the first card in the spread. It's a beautiful card, isn't it? And so, friends, you see the first card is the boar, the wild boar, the adventurous boar. The boar is able to find its path. Yeah? The boar is able to see the hidden path, the path that is hidden in plain sight. What do I mean? Okay, you might not have followed a boar, but you might have seen pigs being used by humans to find precious little things in the forest called truffles, a kind of mushroom. Yeah? Very expensive mushrooms. The boar or the pig is able to sniff its way in the direction of these prized mushrooms and find the path that the human cannot find. And it's not because someone has hidden the path from the human. It's not because there are barricades being placed in the human's way. It's because our senses are attuned differently. The path is there. The human is just not able to see it, but the pig can. And so we can follow the pig. Or, in this case, follow the boar. Follow our inner boar. Because our inner boar can find the trail that is hidden in plain sight. And why do we need to find the trail? Truthfully, we don't need to find the trail. If we are following our intention, if we are living completely freely and completely openly, if our resistance is at 0%, then all we have to do is allow ourselves to be carried in the direction of the life we want to live. We can allow the powerful force of the river of our intention to move us naturally, easily, in the direction of the life we want to live, in the direction of the relationship we want to have, or the job we want to work at, or the experiences we want to have. Our intention naturally will carry us in that direction, but we are not always able to live that freely, that without resistance. Why is that? Because as we live, we see things and we make choices, which is how we create. We see things, we think, I don't want this, I want that, and when we give our attention to the thing we want, we create more of that. If everything we wanted were just here in front of us and there were not choices to make, we would stop creating. We would have no reason to create, and then we would stagnate, and that would be the end of it. But instead, since there are things that we like and things that we don't like, and we can make choices, we are following a path, you might say, a path of our delight. And sometimes we can't see that path because of the resistance that we have put in our own way. So getting in touch with our inner boar, will help us to sniff out that path. And why is that so difficult? Well, one reason is resistance. Another reason is we often limit ourselves to the well-trodden path. What do I mean by that? The path that is the clearest because everybody is going in the same direction. Yeah? If you've ever seen animals walking through a meadow, or you've seen trails, hiking trails through grassland or through the forest, you'll notice that the more people that go in the same direction, the wider and clearer the path is. If one person walks in one direction, there's barely a trace. But if hundreds of people go in the same direction, the same way, there is a clear path. And that is the path well trodden. But that is not necessarily our path. Following the trail laid by everybody else in the same direction is not following our own intention. It's following other people. And sometimes we'll want to get on the path and get back off. There are times when we'll want to hop on the path because it happens to match our path, but then veer off when something we want is off there to the side. So if we are almost thoughtlessly, almost like a zombie, following the path of everybody else, we'll miss the trail. That is our trail. We'll miss the breadcrumbs that are there, right in front of our face. But we'll miss them because there's a huge trail that's so obvious right in front of us. So our trail is not hidden. It's just that we're not sensitive enough to following it at the moment. So what can we do? One thing we can do is to slow down. One of the joys of being on the well-trodden path is that you can go really fast. Yeah? Think of the difference between a hiking trail in the mountain and a 4-lane highway. Which one can you go down faster? The one with the most people going down it, that has already been paved over and is almost impossible not to see, is the easiest and the fastest way. But it's not necessarily our way. Our way could be fast, and it could be fast off of the highway as well. But this one's already painted and tarred over and impossible to miss. So slow down, and sniff out, like the boar, sniff out the crumbs that match what you want. Sniff out the crumbs that smell like happiness, that smell like joy, that smell like excitement, that smell like curiosity and wonder and amazement. Sniff out those crumbs, and those crumbs are going to be the ones that lead you where you want to go. Even if it looks like it's going off into the bushes, it's still going to be leading you where you want to go. And to be able to slow down and sniff around like that, maybe just focusing on what you're doing at the moment, instead of worrying about not being where you think you should be. Focus on what you're doing at the moment. If it's washing dishes, driving your car, shopping in the grocery store or in a clothing store, working at your job, your day-to-day, 9 to 5, 10 to 12, whatever your time is. If you have a job, working your job, just focusing on task by task will help us to release a lot of our tension. And as we release more of our tension, the more sensitive we'll be to those crumbs that are laid in front of us. So, how can we stay open to seeing the path that has been laid? And let me rephrase that, the paths that have been laid. Because there's not just one path. You don't have to be afraid that, oh, I missed my path, I'm lost now. It's not like that. If you miss one path, there's another one coming up. In fact, it might be right there at your side, and you might be about to miss it right now. So, staying open to seeing paths is the key. Let's look at the next section of the spread. So the next section, the question related to following the inner bore is, what am I responsible for? What am I responsible for when I'm looking for my path? Well, you're responsible for being open to it. We're responsible for our own emotional state. And sometimes we have bad habits related to taking responsibility for our emotions. We clutter our minds and our hearts with mental anguish, with worries, with anxieties, with fear, with depression, with grieving. And those are all natural things. I'm not saying you're a bad person or somehow less than you should be when you feel those things. But we also need to take responsibility for those feelings, for those emotions that we have, and find ways to let those daggers of negative feelings, those daggers of pain, letting them fall from our hands. Because mostly, when we have a negative experience, it can feel like a knife being driven into our hearts. However, what we usually do is once that knife has been driven in, we take it out, we look at it, and we stick it right back in. And we take it out, and we look at it, and we stick it right back in. And then we stick it back in. What we can do is take it out, look at it, recognize it for what it is. Whether it was the breakup or the loss of a job or the death of a loved one, or any multitude of large and small painful experiences. We can take it out, look at it, see what we have perhaps learned from it, and then let it go. Instead of doing what we do is we take it, stick it back in, and wait for the next one to come and then stick that one back in and carry them with us. So we're responsible for those daggers that are stuck in our hearts, those daggers that renew, refresh, and invigorate all those negative feelings that we have. That is our responsibility. So, what can we do? Well, first thing we can do is turn our attention to the truth of who we are. We are spirit, incorporated in this body. We are spirit, living a human life. And that spirit is love. That spirit is joy. That spirit is well-being. We are all of those things. And all we need to do, really, is to rediscover that. And when we can rediscover that, we can reclaim our creative ability. We have all the tools we need to live the life we want. And we keep gathering new tools which help us lead the lives we evolve into. We have everything we need, and when we don't have the things we need, we gather them on our way there. And we have the power within us. We have the creative mental power, the creative spiritual power to live an amazingly abundant life. We can manifest everything that we want, but we need to drop the knives, and dropping the knives is our responsibility. Let's move on to the next section of the spread. And so, friends, the question for this section of the spread, as you can see, is, what is my heart saying? Now, our hearts are part of our entire neural system, and our hearts carry great wisdom, great knowledge. In fact, what people call the aura does not emanate from the brain. It emanates from the heart. Our hearts are deeply knowing structures of our bodies, and symbolically and physically. So what is our heart saying? Well, coming from the 9 of swords, or arrows, in the previous section of this spread, our hearts are telling us here that with all of that anxiety, with all of that anguish, with all of that mental trauma that we continue to reinvigorate in ourselves, even when we let that go, we can feel drained. We can feel lethargic. Yeah? And that might be a necessary step for us to move through. Moving from anxiety, pain, depression, grief. We can't get all the way to joy and happy days and sunshine and frolicking in the fields. We need to move from that to that. And part of that transition could very well be through lethargy, through apathy, through feeling beaten down. Even for a moment, feeling beaten down a little bit. Not completely powerless, but tired, just tired. And feeling that tiredness is the next step to then recharging. If we ignore our tiredness, if we ignore our need to take a break, then we will not be able to recharge the way we need to recharge. Yeah? If we don't recognize that we have been disappointed in events, in people, or in ourselves, have you felt disappointed in yourself when you have felt your grief or your anger or your depression? Have you ever felt disappointed in yourself? I have. When I was depressed, I felt disappointed because I knew that this isn't what is going to help me. When I felt anxiety, I've been disappointed in myself because I knew that this isn't going to help me. So, acknowledging that disappointment is what our heart is telling us. Acknowledging that, okay, here I am, I've let go of the swords, and I'm a little disappointed with myself for having felt that way, for having gotten myself caught in that trap. I'm feeling a little bit lethargic and I don't know, I don't want to move. Acknowledging that. And then reaching for the courage that is inside. We never lose our courage. You never lose your courage. You were born with courage. Courage, not the courage in the face of, but courage to do. Courage to explore. Courage to anticipate. Yeah? Courage not in opposition to something, but courage to be. We have that courage inside of ourselves. And we have confidence inside of ourselves. Even when we're depressed, that confidence is there. And finding our independence not to follow the well-trodden path, but to follow our own path, even when it looks like it's going somewhere a little bit different and a little bit strange and a little bit woodsy and mysterious. Having the independence to go our own way. It's there. And our heart knows that. And that is what our heart is telling us in the middle of our lethargy. It's telling us, be self-assured. Be confident. Be determined. Determined to move from resistance to allowing. Determined to move from fear to love. Determined to shift our direction from fighting to enjoying and being grateful for. And our heart is telling us that we can do that, And we can take the time to do that too. We don't have to be beating ourselves up every moment when we're not feeling joyful, when we're not shouting our gratitude. We don't have to beat ourselves up for that. And our heart knows that. And that is what our heart is telling us. So let's look at the next and last section of this spread. And so the last section you can see is asking the question, what am I looking for? Yeah, as we are trying to find our paths, as we are trying to move in the direction of the lives we want to live, what are we looking for? And the first thing we are looking for is not the goal. It's not the wedding bells. It's not the retirement package, depending on what your age is. It's not that. It's the path we are looking for. We're looking for the path, like the boar. We are looking for the path. And we are looking for escape. We're looking to move on. We're either looking to move on from those moments of stabbing ourselves with negative thoughts and emotions, or we're looking to move on from lethargy and apathy and feeling knocked down. Or we are looking for a way to move on from the well-trodden path that everybody else is going on and getting up the courage to take that turnoff that looks like it's a footpath into the woods. We're looking for an escape from the things that are holding us back, or that are blocking our way, or that are redirecting us towards something that we don't want. We're looking to move on. We're looking to detach ourselves from negative experiences and from common experiences. We are looking to detach ourselves from the common and discovering the fact that we are on a spiritual journey. Our journey to the beautiful house is a spiritual journey. Becoming the person who lives in that beautiful house, becoming the person who has that amazing and exciting job, becoming the person who has fallen in love and is in a relationship with the other, is a spiritual journey. And that is what we are looking for. We're looking for discovering the fact that we are on that spiritual journey. And that spiritual journey is another name for following the path of intention. It's another name for leading the intentional life. So, remember when I said that we can focus on daily tasks that we are doing? Move slowly. Move slowly, like the Page of Pentacles. Move a little bit slowly and deliberately, and develop the skills that we might need or that look interesting to us. That's another way to help break away our resistance, to help our resistance crumble, learning new things. It might not directly be related to the job or the relationship that we want, but learning new things helps us to regain our flexibility and the diversity of our abilities. Also, to notice the things that we can do that feel good, besides learning abilities, besides learning talents, besides learning skills. That's the word I was looking for, skills. Besides learning skills, we can also just learn to do things that feel good, that feel interesting, that feel like they are tickling our inquisitiveness, that make us want to follow them. And as we do that, as we experiment a little, as we try this and try that, we might find out that when we try something, we don't particularly like it. But deciding that we don't like it before we try it is another block in our path. Yeah? Try something, see if you like it. Like the Page of Pentacles. And that way, like the boar, you will be sniffing out your path. And then when you are completely relaxed into the flow of your intention, then you'll be going as quickly as you ever thought you might go. So friends, remember that. Be the boar. Find your inner boar. Let the negative stuff fall away. And sniff out the path. Sniff out the trail. Try this, try that. And you'll find it. You will find it. And you'll have fun on the way. And having fun on the way is living the intentional life. So friends, thank you very much. As usual, at the end, there will be the spread again. And again, I'll show you the creators. And let me tell you to share this if you feel like it. If you feel like you know someone who this might be beneficial for, please share it with them. Subscribe if you feel called to, and hit the notification bells so you can get notification when I do upload videos here. Like if you feel like it, that would make me very pleased. And comment below if anything that I said triggered something for you, if anything that I said rang bells for you, if you got a new take on something, or if you want to share an experience, please comment below. And friends, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.